Our region in Lake Champlain was where one of the most decisive battles of the Revolutionary War took place. A novelist and historian has written a new book about the Battle of Valcour and the hero who led the small fleet of American gunboats that stood up to a much larger British flotilla of warships on Lake Champlain in the fall of 1776. Jack Kelly spoke at the Memorial Chapel on the U.S. Oval this past week about that battle and the capture of Fort Ticonderoga earlier in the war, both led by Benedict Arnold, who, as Kelly writes in his book, God Save Benedict Arnold, the true story of America's most hated man. Arnold was indeed a traitor and a villain later in the war, but in capturing Fort Ticonderoga from the British in May of 1775, and then stopping the British fleet from advancing down Lake Champlain in October of 1776, Kelly says both were acts of heroism that helped the Patriots ultimately win the war.
The Battle of Valcour Island was crucial. It was a classic David and Goliath thing with the Royal Navy coming down with huge amounts of firepower from Canada, and Benedict Arnold with a relatively small fleet hiding in the bay between Valcour Island and the mainland. They fought for 7 hours. He really fought them to a standstill and then escaped in the night. And it was I always say it's very much like a fairy tale almost. And that was what stopped the invasion of the British in 1776, that crucial year in the Revolution.
Jack Kelly is one of the speakers invited over the next several months by the Clinton County Historical Association and local America 250 Committee to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the Revolutionary War and the birth of our nation, and to highlight some of the major events that happened during the war here in northern New York. And here now to talk more about some of the America 250 events, as well as a special day coming up next weekend for museums and historic and cultural sites in Clinton County. We are joined by Geri Favreau, who is the president of the Clinton County Historical Association. Also joining us is Garth Houde, who is the president of the Anderson Falls Heritage Society and Museum in Keeseville. Welcome to you both. Nice to have you here. Thank you. Geri, the Clinton County Historical Association and the America 250 Committee have begun holding some of the first events to commemorate the North Country's significant role in the Revolutionary War and the making of our nation. We just heard a little bit from Jack Kelly, the award-winning novelist and historian who has written several books about the Revolutionary War, and that was one of the first events commemorating America 250 here in the North Country.
It was the first. It was the kickoff for the commemoration.
And this coming weekend, on June 14th, will be the 16th annual Museum Day, hosted by the Adirondack Coast Cultural Alliance, with 16 museums and cultural sites participating. Tell us what the day is all about.
So I'd like to give credit to Bob Parks. Bob Parks, when he was publisher of the Press Republican, he was the one that had this idea about opening all the museums for 2 days, extended hours, and free admission. And it would have been 20 years this year, except for COVID. We had 2 years that we weren't able to. But what we did this year, we've changed it this year. The museums, it's now going to be 1 day. Each museum has different hours. Some may be open a little earlier, a little later. And some of them will be charging admission this year. Some will be free, some will have a donation jar, whatever. Because everybody, all the museums are struggling for volunteers. CCHA is fortunate because we get some help from the county. It gives us some money every year. But the other museums don't have that. So they really can't afford to be open and be free for 2 days. We'll be asking people that when they go to please, if they can, put a few dollars in the bucket. Every penny counts. Every nickel counts, but it does. It all adds up, and it makes a difference. And it keeps them all open. Some of the museums this weekend will be doing something special.
And Garth, you folks at the Anderson Falls Heritage Society and Museum, you're one of the museums participating in Museum Day. Do you have any special events planned for this year?
No special events for Museum Day. We are going to be open longer than on a typical Saturday. We're usually open Saturdays from 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock, and for Museum Day, we'll be open from 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
Tell us a little bit about the history of the Anderson Falls Heritage Society and Museum.
The Heritage Society was started, I believe, in the 1980s. Someone who was a friend of one of the officers of the society bought a very beautiful Greek Revival style house in Keeseville. It dates from around 1837, and this person gave us a 99-year lease on the house to use as our museum. He died last year, and his heirs donated the house to our society. So now we own the house. It's at 96 Clinton Street in Keeseville.
The museum is named after Anderson Falls, which is in the village of Keeseville, a section of the Ausable River that runs under the famous stone bridge. Mm-hmm. That is Anderson Falls. That's where the name comes from.
Yeah, Anderson Falls was the original name for what is now Keeseville. The society was named after as a tribute to the original name.
It was a manufacturing center there in its day,
Yes.
along the Ausable River that made the nails used for horseshoes. Do you have an exhibit at the museum that showcases those factories?
We do have some pictures and old pictures and information about the old factories that were there. And another big one was Prescott Mills, and they made furniture, and they were in existence for quite some time in Keeseville. They were a big employer in the community.
What are some of the other exhibits that folks will see if they come to the museum?
We have an exhibit featuring the local schools in Keeseville, the earlier school buildings, and some artifacts from schools, yearbooks we have, and we have an exhibit on the local railroads. There was the railroad that still runs through our area, which is now Canadian Pacific. It was formerly Delaware and Hudson. And there was a short line railroad that not many people know about. It was called the Keeseville, Ausable Chasm, and Lake Champlain Railroad. And a lot of people just refer to it as the Peanut Railroad because it was such a short line. It ran from Port Kent through Ausable Chasm and into Keeseville. It's no longer there, but we have a very nice exhibit that gives information about that. And again, there are some pictures.
And Keeseville was one of those communities that had its own telephone company back in the day, right?
Yes.
And then there's an exhibit with some of the equipment that was used back in the day.
Yes, we have an old switchboard. We have that, and we have some old telephones.
Geri mentioned, for museums, volunteers are the backbone. How are you folks? Are you constantly looking for volunteers to come help you out?
That's one of our biggest concerns. We are definitely always looking for volunteers, and we try to encourage people as much as possible to volunteer. We have lots of volunteer opportunities. We have opportunities for people who want to give tours of the museum. We have a lot of behind-the-scenes ways that people can help out. So, yeah, we're always looking for volunteers.
If folks are interested, best way to reach out to you, your website or Facebook page?
Our website would be a good way. It's the web address is just andersonfalls.org.
And Geri, the Clinton County Historical Association Museum will be open as well. What are some of the exhibits that folks will be seeing this year?
We have a wonderful wedding gown exhibit. It's brand new. It was put up this spring. Randy Christodoulos, Sue Coffey, Jan Kuchar, and some others were the ones that put it together. I call it Smithsonian quality. It's awesome. One of the, I don't want to give it all away, but one of the things that it features, we have 3 wedding gowns in our collection that are of the same family, 3 different generations.
Really?
I mean, how interesting is that? One of the things that we will be showcasing on museum days is the Royal Savage. It's a gun carriage, I believe. Now it's just pieces, and nobody is going to come in and see the Royal Savage put together. But at least it looks like something, and it's pretty, it's pretty cool the way it is. So we're kind of proud of that.
Tell us a little bit about the passport. What is the passport and what does it do?
The days and the times that the museums are open are different than Museum Day. So I encourage people to pick this up, gives them a little synopsis of what the museum is about, and tells them, when the museum will be open.
The passport is put together with the help of the Adirondack Coast Visitors Bureau,
Yes.
and did they publish it for you, and
Yes.
they hand it out at the Chamber of Commerce on Route 9 in Plattsburgh, and help get the word out to promote
Yes.
all
yes.
of these museums.
They pay for it. Thank you very much. Yes, for sure.
For America 250, as chair of the Clinton County Committee, you're meeting with a lot of villages and towns,
Right.
helping them with their plans as they look ahead for the next 2 years, what to
Right.
do. And one of the things you've talked about doing together is pointing out where all the historical markers are
Right.
in the county, and letting folks maybe see a list of where they are so they can go visit them.
Yes. We have a very interesting one. We actually have two CCHA going up. One is for Oval Craft Brewing, because it was the firehouse on the Army.
Yep.
But the other one is for the Davidson sisters down on Cumberland Avenue. And if people are interested, they should take a ride down Bridge Street, because Brendan Palmer Angel is doing a mural on the Express Mart building
He
for
is
the Davidson sisters.
This week as we speak, it's
Oh
going
my.
up. And
Yes, and we're going to be doing a marker for them on Cumberland. We have one of our volunteers has done a lot of research about them. Her
Yep.
name is Beth Gay, and she wrote a book about the sisters. It's mostly Lucretia, called Fear of Madness. We have it for sale in our shop.
Okay.
And she does a very nice presentation about them. And I think and there's a street also on the old base named for Lucretia.
There is.
So I think what it's going to do is people don't know who they are or what they did. They were pretty special back in the 1800s. Put it all together, and it's going to really give them the attention that they deserve.
And you mentioned, is the book for sale now at the museum?
yep.
So on Museum Day, folks could pick up a
Yes.
copy of the book if they would
Yes.
like.
And Jack Kelly's book, we also have
also be.
the Benedict Arnold one. Yes,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Great.
So
Geri Favreau and Garth Houde, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
thank you.
Thank you.